Hello everyone, my name is Mario for Cost Spirit and welcome to the channel. This video is going to be, as you saw in the title, a public announcement for our little friends. I'm going to tell you a story. So the other day I was driving home. It was 6:30 at night. I'm in Ontario, Canada, so it was pretty dark at that time. And it was a little cool, but it wasn't too bad. So I'm coming home and I'm driving up a hill, and there's two lanes going up and one lane coming down. So I'm in the right lane, but I look in the left lane, and there's a woman there looking at something. So I figured, okay, there's an animal that's been injured, right? So I pull up, I roll down my window, and I ask her, I go, do you need some help? She goes, well, this little animal here has been hit. It was a little cat, by the way, but he looks pretty much alive. I'm like, okay. So I stopped my car, I put my hazards on, and I went out and started talking to her and looking at the cat, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. So I go, well, I don't think we should call 911. We'll probably get in trouble for that. And she goes, yeah. And in the meantime, there's people lined up at the bottom of the hill, but they started going around, and someone decided to peep the horn, so I kind of expressed my thoughts. I'm not going to say what I said here. It was nothing vulgar, but I just expressed my thoughts, right? So anyways, continuing on, I'm thinking, well, I can't leave the little cat here in the middle of the road, so, it seems like it can be moved. But I'm thinking to myself, well, what if I try to pick up this little cat and it decides to snap? You never know, right? Latches its teeth into you, not a good thing. So I go in the back of my car and I grab a blanket. By the way, I always keep blankets in my car just in case of situations like this, so it may not be a bad idea if you did that as well. So I picked up the little cat in the blanket. It didn't complain, it didn't whine or anything, which was surprising, but it was pretty conscious. And there was like a wet spot on the road. So I moved the little cat over to the side of the road. So now the left lane was open, so people can drive easily by us. So now we're like, okay, so what do we do? So I think she mentioned something about calling an animal hospital or whatever she had mentioned, right? So now what was a good thing is, like, she was in her early 20s, so she knows a little more about phones and stuff like that than I do. So, which was a good thing, because she calls up whatever she called up, and this one guy answers, and he's like, well, he goes, this is the wrong place to call. You have to call this other place. She goes, well, can you give me his number? Yeah, you give me the number. He goes, yeah. So she goes, well, hold on a second, let me get into my notes. Like, if it was me, I'd be like, hold on a second, let me go get a pen and paper. But like I said, she's in her 20s, so she knows a little more about these apps and all that than I do. So she pulls out her notes and she marks down the number that we need to call. So hangs up the phone, so we call this other number. And it's like, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. And here it is, it's at night, and lucky it wasn't too cold, and all I'm thinking is, this little cat's suffering, and like, we don't know, like, who to call. We're trying to figure out who to call. I'm like, this is not good, right? And literally I felt kind of helpless. I'm like, this is not good, right? So anyways, we get to the second person, and this woman goes, well, she goes, blah, 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 this was Burlington, Ontario, Canada we were in. So that guy gave us a number for Hamilton, which is the city beside us. She's like, well, you gotta call Burlington. And so the girl goes, okay, well, she goes, you got the number for the Burlington one. And which she had told Burlington to the guy before as well, because I was there listening. So I guess maybe you didn't hear her. Anyways, so she marks out a number in her notes again, right? So then she calls that number up, but she thanks the woman, but that woman wasn't very helpful, which I thought wasn't very nice. I'm like to the girl, I'm like, you're a lot nicer than I am. She goes, yeah, she wasn't very helpful, was she? I'm like, yeah. So anyways, and by the way, the little cat's suffering this whole time, right? So anyways, so she calls this other number, and again, press 1 for this, press 2 for we didn't even end up talking to anybody, right? So I'm like, what the heck? So then she goes, well, we can't leave this little animal here. She goes, you know what? I'll take it home. I go, okay. So I didn't want the girl to be alone. So I go, do you live with your parents? She goes, yeah, but they're not home. I go, is there anybody else home with you? She goes, no. She goes, but my boyfriend lives 5 minutes away. I go, okay. I go, bring the cat there. That way you're not alone. You can figure out what to do. So she goes, okay. So I pick up the little cat in the blanket, right, and I put it in the girl's arm, and it was kind of cute because the little head's like falling over her arm. So I'm like trying to pick up the little head, and she's like cuddling it, right. So we walk over to her car. I go, you want to put the cat in the back seat? She says, no, I'd rather put it in the front seat, so I could drive, so I could keep an eye on it, right. So we walk over, she walks across, she goes, so I open the door, she goes, you just put my A&W on the ground. She was actually going to get A&W when she saw this little cat that was hit, right? So I put, the food on the ground, which, it's not a good place to put food, but what are you going to do in this situation? So I put her food on the ground, move over her stuff, so she puts a little cat there, and she goes, do you want the blanket? I'm like, no. I go, keep the blanket, right? She goes, well, God bless you, sir. I'm like, yeah, no problem, right? So then, we parted ways, and I don't know what has happened to the cat, but the important thing is that the reason why I'm making this video is that I'm like, it should have never taken this long, and we should have never been like confused on what to do, okay? So what I did is a few days later when I had a chance, I looked on the internet and I figured out who to call under these situations, either be office hours or after office hours. So in the region that I'm in, I found the number to call, which again, it wasn't like extremely easy to find, right? And you would think it would be because everybody cares for their pets, right? And you see all these commercials about how we should care for, how do this to care for you, but and do that to care for your pet. But here's a situation where this little cat's suffering, and I'm like, we're sitting there, and there's two of us, right, at different age groups, and neither of us are like knew what to do, which I thought was really, really like not good, right? So, anyways. So I found the number from my region, then I'm like, you know what? I also go to the Niagara region. So I go, actually, I want to know for all Ontario. What if I'm not in my region? Who do I call in somewhere else in Ontario? So couldn't find that number. So I tried at least the Niagara region, which I go there a lot because that's where I'm from. I found the number for that, but even that, it was like, it wasn't like easy, right? So the point is, the reason why I'm doing this video is, my suggestion is this: if you care for the well-beings of the animals the way I do, and obviously the way this girl does, because she was really, really like compassionate and caring for this animal, my suggestion is this: find your number in your region and either put it in your phone, or like what I did, I wrote it down and I put it in my car. So at least if you get to this situation, right, either be a cat, a dog, or any other animal that you do not want to see suffer, at least you already have this number for either the business hours or after hours, and you can make the call. Okay, it's going to take a while, but better that while there than the length of time that little cat went through. So anyways, that's why I made this video. Hopefully it's helpful for you, and hopefully it's going to help ease the suffering of a lot of animals out there. And that's it. So anyways, thank you. Thanks for watching, and have a pleasant day. Goodbye.